It's called the Party Starter.
Overrated or underrated, Paul? Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Like, when's your birthday? Oh, I hate you.
Mental health would be down the hatch.
And he did this project called 99 Originals.
Let's always a party. Let's go, Paulie.
Welcome to the party, everyone. How we doing out there this week? I hope you're having a great day, because guess what? So are we.
You sound like a DJ. Is DJing something you would ever want to do?
Yo, it's DJ Paulie J back on the studio tracks.
I don't think that answered my question. Would you actually want to DJ? Because I could see you DJing, but I don't know if your music catalog is up to par.
That's the thing. Personality. So I'm a great host. If you were like, yo, I need you to like go out, talk to people, be a host, whatever.
What's the guy that goes out before? Oh, the MC.
MC.
You've done MC gigs.
Oh, I've done MC gigs. I would be a great MC.
I also think I would be a great MC.
You would be. I think you would. I need
no, there's no other answer. It's like, yeah, I would be good.
I need to see you interact with more people.
The problem is if I'm the MC, I'm going to steal the show, and the MC is supposed to form the show together and kind of take a back seat. I'm not a backseat guy.
Not backseat. You just need to be able to run the show properly. And I feel like, I feel like you're good. You'll get there,
But I will say that you actually linked up with Dylan. So if you haven't followed our friend Dylan Sadiq, the college cuber, he's coming for a name change, but he does art with Rubik's Cubes. And we had him on the show. A lot of people reached out. They really enjoyed us having him on the show. He hit you up. You guys linked up, and you guys did something cool over the weekend.
Yeah, so
or 2 weeks ago.
Dylan's really cool. If you haven't checked out that show, do it. It was a few weeks back. Dylan's a creator and an artist, so we kind of talked about the creator space.
We got a lot of great feedback on that episode.
And we also talked, like, his opportunities are, like, crazy. I mean, it was just, like, the sports teams and the people that he's worked with is just insane.
It's like a bucket. If you wanted to work in the sports world, he's not even, like, a whole year into what his gig is or what his art is. Like, he's like 8 months in, and he's crossing off MLB All-Star Weekend. He's been on the Today Show. He's working with professional teams, Air Force Army game. I mean, he's like checking the bucket list off 8 months in. Crazy life.
So he reached out a few days before. I was at the Jets game. It was the Jets-Bengals.
Nice.
Jets-Bengals game on Sunday. And it was at MetLife, and I live right by MetLife Stadium, and he's from the Newark area. He went to Rutgers, New Brunswick area. So he went to Rutgers. He just graduated, and he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "Are you available on Sunday?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got nothing to do." He's like, "Okay, cool. Like the Jets hired me for a piece. I am doing a picture of their Ring of Honor inductee,
Nick Mangold."
So Nick Mangold, and he was there. They did a whole thing at halftime, but basically with Dylan, he did his piece, which is 560 Rubik's Cubes. He does mosaics. He turned it into Nick Mangold prior to the game. So he started around 10 o'clock, and he finished around 12:30. And it was kind of like...
Were you there for that?
I was. So it was during like the tailgate part. Like out of MetLife, they have, I forget what it's called, but there's like a section where it has like, there's a whole Bud Light tent, and there's different like games you could play, and different vendors are selling stuff. Or they're like, hey, sign up for this app, you get a free Jets hat. Yeah. And then they also have like the game day crew where it was like, a bunch of people are prepping the game. They're on like, I think it's SNY, which is the Newark.
Well, that's the crew you used to work with, the game day crew, right? Or no?
Well, this was like they had, they're like reporters and they're like talk show hosts.
Gotcha.
They talk, on SNY, which is like a sports network up in New York and North Jersey. What's so funny is they actually had Ralph Macchio on. Do you know Ralph Macchio?
I don't know who that is.
He's the Karate Kid.
He's the Karate Kid?
Like from the famous, the movie.
The movie Karate Kid was based off of him.
No. He's like the actor.
Is he?
Like he was the kid. He was the Karate Kid.
That's
so
wild.
He's been back in the spotlight. If you ever watched Cobra Kai, which is on Netflix, it was YouTube Red, and then now it's on Netflix or whatever. So, but he's like a huge Jet fan. So we were doing the whole thing outside on the tailgate area, and I heard Ralph Macchio's voice. I was like, "Where is he?" And he was talking. They were interviewing him.
Did you ask him to come on our podcast?
I should have.
You're really missing these shots, dude.
Well, it's hard. I mean, those people, I'm like working with Dylan. But yeah, we did this whole piece. I was doing photo and video for Dylan a little bit.
Nice.
So I took some cool stuff. And then
Were people coming up to him?
Oh, absolutely, dude. I mean, it's insane how many people.
Absolutely, dude.
Absolutely, baby.
Absolutely, dude.
But it is crazy how many people go up to him.
Was it cool the interactions they say? Like people are like, holy shit, this is cool.
A lot of people, really like. A lot of people don't know what's going on. They're like, yo, what's happening? And I was just that kind of person explaining to them who he was, what type of art he does, who it's going to be, that kind of thing. And I had a lot of practice with working with the mascot in college.
So like the mascot gets the handler for the day, where like the handler walks around with the mascot, helps him with directions, tells people, oh, you can't get a picture now, we'll get a picture later. So you were in essence Dylan's handler for the day.
A little bit, yeah.
Paul hates that's the fact.
Well, no, it was that, and then I was doing photo and video. So like my main purpose was to do photo and video for him. I got to go through the video footage, still haven't done that. And then we actually, during halftime, they did the Ring of Honor induction.
Yeah.
So he was honored at half. And he came out, he did a little speech. He had all of his old players, like family, friends, that kind of thing. And then we brought the piece, which is this 560, Rubik's Cube piece, which is like 5 feet tall, 4 feet wide. So we have this giant like piece. It's a wood box. And it was like me, him, another intern for the Jets. And we're like running this thing on during halftime.
With interns. They're not always the most reliable.
We got to make, it's just, it's an art piece. So at the end of the day, like, God forbid we drop it. Like it's ruined. Like we can't rebuild it in that moment. The ceremony is super short. Like,
and you're dropping in front of 80,000 fans. Now the fans are like, oh no. Now they're taking a video of all the Rubik's Cubes fucked up.
So
it could have been a disaster.
It definitely was an interesting thing. It was the first time he said he's ever had to move it like that.
It was a first for everything.
You
Absolutely.
learn. Absolutely.
Absolutely, dude. Well, I'm a little jealous. I'm a little jealous that Dylan didn't hit me up.
Well, you could be the handler next time.
No, I can't. I can't be the handler of the MC. I got to be the mascot. I got to be the main event, Paul. Come on.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the show. What we're going to do is we're going to do a segment where we're just going to say whatever comes to our mind when we hear these words, phrases, or questions, Paul. So we're going to go one by one. Tell me what's the first thing that comes to your mind once I say this. Okay, ready?
Yep.
First one is best genre of music, Paul. What automatically comes to mind? Best genre of music.
Country music.
Really?
Love country music. I think it's super underrated. I think people give it a bad rap. I think at the end of the day, for a vibe and a good feeling, I think country is your way to go.
I think that best genre of music should depend on different scenarios. Does that make sense? Like, do I have to give an answer? Like if I'm going to work out, let me put some hip-hop rap on. Let me get some Meek Mill, Dreams and Nightmares. Let me go that route.
It's situational, for sure.
If I'm at like a little dance party, family party, pool party, let me put some pop on. Let me put some Harry Styles.
Yeah, I feel that.
Let me put some maybe T Swift or maybe some Jason Derulo. But then once again, like if I'm going golfing, we got the stereo, we're out golfing. Put some country on.
Yeah.
Country's great when you're golfing. So I don't know if I want to pick an exact genre. I think it depends on the mood. I don't like to listen to country in the wintertime. Country is more of a summer music genre, but I think it varies per person. It varies per what you're doing.
Yeah, it's very situational in that fact. Like I said, we've talked about how country music is great in the summer. It's a good pool vibe. So, yeah, I think it all depends, but for me, country.
You know what I miss?
What?
The, like, golden oldies. Like, the oldies songs.
I don't miss
like
them.
Like Dion, like Run Around Sue.
I hear them, though.
Yeah, but, like...
You ever go down to the boardwalk? Well, that's all they play.
That's another situation. Like, if you go down the shore, you go to, like, a shore bar, like Seattle
Under the
or
boardwalk. We'll be having some fun under the boardwalk.
But, like, that's the only time you really get that music.
It's situational.
But it's an older crowd.
Yeah, but if you go there, that's the type of music you'll get. If you go to a wedding... It's like certain music, right?
Like the wedding playlist.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you go to a frat house, they're not bumping country unless like it's just some remix
with Morgan Wallen. What is that? Fuck.
Yeah, it's got some EDM Morgan Wallen going on like
Broadway
in South Carolina.
Leave those Broadway girls alone.
You go to the theater house, they're playing some Broadway tunes, and that's bump. People be bumping to that, getting drunk.
People be bumping. Let me ask you something. Are you going to? Because I thought about this. When you eventually get married, Paul, you're talking about a wedding playlist.
Sure.
When you hire a DJ, are you going to make the playlist? Or are you to maybe give them a couple songs? Like, hey, I want this song at this hour. When this has happened, cutting the cake, I want this song. Or right after dinner, the first song back after dinner, we want this song. Are you going to do that? Or are you just going to give them the keys to the castle?
So first thing you got wrong.
Because I've been thinking about it.
First thing you got wrong there.
I got something wrong in a question? How do you get something wrong in a question?
Because you said when you hire a DJ, it's not going to happen. I'm hiring a band.
Are you?
100%. It's not even a question. I've seen both. I like my sister had a DJ. Great time. Not gonna lie. My mom reception had a band. I've seen other people have a band. Or no, did Laura? No, Laura had a band. Just kidding. So she didn't have.
Just kidding.
So like both my family members recently have last 5-6 years.
Okay, but you haven't been the one with a DJ then.
I have been. I've been to plenty of weddings, dude. I'm the wedding guy.
I'm the wedding crasher.
What's crazy is my mom. I remember being in high school. My mom was like, "Have you ever heard of this position? It's called the party starter."
Oh well, I don't know if you should have that conversation with your mom.
Well, I'm the life of the party. I mean, that's what we do here. So it's basically a job where you're part of like a party company or party venue that helps like set up like parties, right? And they basically hire you to be the person who gets the party started.
So you're like the hype man.
You're the hype dude. You're the first guy on the dance floor. You see like the mother-in-law, right? She's chilling and she doesn't want to get on the dance floor. You're the guy to go grab her, bring her on, and get this party bumping. Dude. And I'd be so good at that.
That is hilarious. I didn't even know that was a thing.
They gotta get the crew
but
going.
Then if it's your wedding and then like Uncle Richard comes over and goes, Ryan, who's that fucking crazy dude over there trying to like grab your aunt and get her on the dance floor? Like, we paid him to get he's the party starter.
He's the party starter. He's the life of the party, baby.
That's funny. That's like it makes me think of 27 Dresses, how she goes to like several weddings in a night and she plans the wedding, but she also is the bridesmaid. So then she's like going to all these fitting into different weddings and cultures. I've never heard of the party starter.
The party starter.
Is that actually a thing?
It is a thing.
So you're going to get a live band. Have you thought of your band maybe like around here or one you've seen or just not yet?
Not yet, but I really like the vibe of a band. And, as long as if you figure out, just like a DJ, you figure out certain songs that you want to be played, as long as that band can play those songs, I think hire a band. It's better atmosphere for sure.
Music is important in parties.
It is.
All right, next one.
First thing you think of when you hear the word brownies.
Ooh. So when I think of brownies, I'm not going to say they're better than cookies because nothing beats a chocolate chip cookies. But when you say brownies, the first thing that comes to my mind is my hot take towards brownies. So if you or your mom makes brownies, you make brownies, you see the brownie tray, what piece do you want in that tray?
The middle piece.
The middle piece.
You want the crust?
No, I want the middle piece. I thought I'm an outsider.
I want the middle piece, man.
Yeah, I prefer the middle piece. But when I tell people I want the middle piece, they're like, "Oh, you're a psychopath."
Dude,
because I want a corner, I want an end brownie piece.
I've seen people go to brownie containers and there's giant cutouts in the middle. Because people like the gooey center of a brownie.
I prefer that. And I've asked a couple people, like one of my closest friends, a couple of them, 3 or 4, they're like, "You're psychotic."
Nope.
But you got to go at the end so you can hold it. I'm like, dude, but it's like burned. It not as good.
No, so that's the difference. When we were in middle school, we had those pizzas. We always talked about where you had the pizza sheet, right?
Well, that's the problem.
No, you want the end because you want to be able to hold the pizza. You don't want this middle center. But the brownie's different because the brownie, that's what you want. That's the good part.
Right out of the
brownie.
oven, it's like melting in your hand.
It's
got to be right out of the oven.
Yeah.
But I will say that's another bad thing about Sicilian pizza. That's why I don't really tend to get it.
Yeah.
Because I hate having pizza that doesn't have crust. Like, it just isn't good to me. I don't enjoy it. So when you think brownies, I guess we're not outsiders in that we like the middle.
When you say brownie, I don't know why, but I think of Snoop Dogg.
Weed brownies.
Weed brownies, yeah.
See, I've never had one of those. We've been through my encounters with weed, but I would assume, wouldn't you think that top 2 edibles is like a weed brownie?
It's a brownie and a cookie. People
like
like
a
people
nerd
like
rope.
Gummies too, yeah.
Gummies, I think gummies are making a big comeback.
They are. They like the candy. People like the candy, so.
Next one is, Paul, what do you think about high school reunions? What comes to your mind? Do you like them? Would you like to attend one?
So what's interesting is we're actually within the next like five years we'll be coming up on our high school reunion.
How many years is that?
It's like 3. It would be 3 years away. It'd be 2025. It would be 10-year reunion.
Holy shit!
They do 10, 20. I think they do it on the 10s. I think they do 10, 20, 30.
Are you interested in that? Were you gonna go?
Probably not.
I'm probably not either.
Like I wouldn't really be interested. I think what's interesting. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong.
What if they're at like a brewery? They run out of brewery. It's our high school, Sterling High School, like 10-year reunion.
It would be interesting. It's just like who do you really know? Like there's a friend group, right? That's still, like I said, we have a small town. We're from a small town, and right now we've been out of high school for probably about 7 years, and it's like there's still a large group of people that I still know from high school that like I see on not a regular basis, but maybe like every once a month.
That's true.
You
It's
might
like-
see a little more often.
Like our school is a little smaller, like our class was smaller, so like I always see like who's pregnant, who's getting married, like on Facebook. Like
especially with social media, that has changed, right? Too, where you might be not talking to those people, but you'll see who has a kid or who's been married,
Facebook, yeah.
or who got fat,
So
right? It's like you see
if
that
you were
stuff.
fat before, like me, you can't get
Who
fat.
got skinny? Yeah, it's like you know what's going on. It's not the big shock where Lucy comes in with 3 kids, a husband, and she's like,
I'd be interested to see like the percentages of high schools that still have those reunions and who actually go because of social media. Like, are they dying out? They might be.
I don't know.
So you won't be checking Life's a Party at Sterling High School reunion. All right, next one, Paul.
Justin Timberlake. What's your thoughts?
God.
First thing.
Overrated.
Really? I
we
love
actually have
JT.
a segment we're doing overrated or underrated after this, but I do think Justin Timberlake is a little overrated. My other thought, not my cup of tea. Fair?
Okay.
Justin Timberlake, not my cup of tea. I liked him in the NSYNC Boys days.
He was great.
But then once he branched off NSYNC, left them in the dust, he had his bangers. But my thing with Justin Timberlake is I think that he thinks he's better than what he is. Super talented dude. But I think he thinks he's a little funnier than what he thinks he is. He walks around like his shit doesn't stink. I'm not going to lie, Justin Timberlake. No, I don't have any hard feelings toward you. No hard feelings, JT. But I think he's got like that persona. Like maybe that's what makes him great. That he has that like cockiness to him. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of JT.
Yeah, I actually really like JT. I wish he did more. He doesn't do as much as he used to.
That's true. Like
he used to he used to put out music, and then he wasn't putting out music for years, and then he put out an album, and then he hasn't put out music in a very long time, and then he was doing some acting, but then he got pulled back from that. But now he's doing voice acting. He's like the lead guy in Trolls for DreamWorks.
Friends with Benefits, great movie.
Yeah, but I mean, he hasn't done acting in a long time.
Like I said, he's a very talented guy. Like he used to do a couple skits with like Jimmy Fallon. Like he had that great skit where they're like camping for Boy Scouts.
Yeah,
and they share like the same bedroom.
Him and Fallon are really good friends. So like when you see them together, like
chemistry.
I mean they're out and about too. Like they'll be at the U.S. Open and they'll like be together. They'll be at the Yankees game together. Like they're friends. So like that cool chemistry is nice. That's the only time I see him. I don't see him in a movie or hear him on the radio. I see him.
That's a good point.
Social.
Like he's a really super talented dude that just kind of just stopped working. Like a lot of these artists or celebrities, they always be like, "Oh, I can't stop working." But Justin Timberlake seems like one of those guys where he's okay taking a back seat. So it makes you think of like maybe Justin Bieber. Will he ever take a back seat? I wonder where JT stopped making music.
And what causes it, right? A lot of it's family related or it's just burnout.
I will say that like a
Yeah.
podcast with JT on it would be super intricate. Understand why he stopped. His childhood, he was a childhood superstar. And then he deals with that boy band breakup, one of the best boy bands ever, and like that whole Harry Styles left One Direction or Zayn Malik was the original one.
Yeah.
And there's always that drama. So I would assume like a Justin Timberlake documentary or a Justin Timberlake podcast just to hear everything that's going on in his life would be super interesting. Next one, Paul. How do you feel about New York City apartments?
It's really interesting because I've been thinking about moving possibly to Hoboken or New York City. It's bad because my job wouldn't, like, I don't need to move. Like, I live really close to my job, but I just always wanted to live in the city.
And me too.
Like, there's just something about it where I really like Hoboken. Like, if you ever been to Hoboken or Jersey City, there's a really nice city environment there. A lot of really nice shops.
Lexi Lockman,
yeah,
Miss New Jersey, USA, from Hoboken. We had her on the show.
I know your sister used to live in Hoboken.
Sister used to live in Hoboken.
If you've been around that area, and I go there all the time. I was actually there last weekend. We were partying. It was my buddy's birthday.
Great party spot.
It's amazing. The
Great
bars
party
are
spot.
great.
Great
like,
restaurants.
The food's great.
Food and bars, like the dynamic duo in Hoboken.
And everybody always talks about the best views of New York City are from Jersey. Like, everything you see of New York City skyline, I actually had a photo on my Instagram, on my story.
Shout out.
It was like
Pauly Pics, or no, you changed
No,
it?
that was different.
Pauly Visuals?
This is just my normal stuff. But I took a photo of, like, the New York City skyline at night, and it was just, like, to be there. We were chilling outside of the bar because we were like, oh, we're going to take a break. We went to the Hudson. And I just really like that environment. But I've been seeing more on TikTok, actually. There's a guy, I like this series a lot, where he talks to people and says, oh, how much is your New York City apartment?
Yeah.
And then
he takes a tour.
And he's like, can I see it? And some people are like, yeah. And then it's like, you see what the price of it is, and then you see how big it is. And it's like, it's just rough,
like,
man.
That guy is like the Daniel Mack, the guy who goes up to cars and
Yes.
is like, oh, what do you do for a living? And then he puts the price of the car. he kind of doing his own twist on that series. Like I know a guy. I think
Where do you live?
I know another guy who brought it up was like he does college dorms.
Yes.
It's like MTV Welcome to My Cribs or MTV Cribs, but college edition.
It's really smart. I mean, that kind of stuff. It's relatable. People know. People want to see what other people are doing.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Agree. You don't have to read. That's what we always tell people. Social and like ideas. You got Billy on the Street, right? You have Billy Eichner, who was doing these man on the street stuff. You see a million of those. We've tried it, right? Like a million of those things. And they can be successful if you put a little twist on it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
You don't. All right, so.
First thoughts when you think of winter, the season.
The season winter, what comes to my mind is Christmas.
Okay.
But I will say this, Paul. If you were to remove Christmas from winter, it's arguably the worst season and miserable time of the year. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I have been talking about how much I'm dreading waking up and it to be freezing. The other day, we got our we live in the state of New Jersey, and the other day we got our first taste of a little bit of cold in the morning.
But it was a good cold.
It was like 45 degrees, and I said, "Okay, I'm going back to bed. Like this is not what I want. Like it is September,
That's why people love LA. They don't get that. It's great weather all the time.
People talk about how the vibe and how people just feel more lively because of the warm weather. And I'm telling you, when it gets cold, I get like a little bit grumpy. I get miserable.
Sleepy.
It's like sleepy. You're a little bit on edge. You feel tense. You're just like things are pissing you off because you're so cold. It's dark out. Like
you're shivering in your car while you're trying to
it's
defrost
like,
the window.
Dude, like certain things you don't realize that if you just had nice weather, your mood would be better.
It takes longer to dress. You got to put extra layers on.
Yeah, dude.
But people are always like, man, I can't wait for Christmas. I can't wait for hot chocolate, snow, Christmas music. But I'm telling you, if you were to remove the holiday of Christmas, and I
100%.
understand that like Jewish people, not everybody celebrate Christmas. But even if you don't celebrate Christmas, unless you're like in a Jewish community, you're still going around like Christmas lights. And you're always hearing music on B101. Like you can't really completely remove the holiday from your life if you don't celebrate Christmas. But I think if you were to remove it, no Christmas movies, no gingerbread houses, no lights or anything, it'd be a really shitty time.
It'd be rough.
Like mental health would be down the hatch.
The only thing I really like, I like to snowboard.
Snowboard.
I like to snowboard.
When have you ever fucking snowboarded?
I snowboard? What are you talking about?
When?
In the winter.
You can also snowboard when it's like not winter. You can just go to like the Poconos, I think.
Yeah, just go to Pennsylvania in the summer, still snowboard. Good one, Rye. No, you can't. That's just not how that works. But
go to fucking Alaska.
I'm not a fan of winter.
Let's hear your snowboarding skills.
No, I like to snowboard. That's like what I like about winter. Other than that, like, dude, I've been realizing how much I hate the cold.
I'm with you. All right, the next one, Paul. MTV. What's your first thought when you hear MTV?
Early 2000s. Growing up. So when we went to like middle school and stuff, I remember waking up in the morning. I had to get dropped off at someone's house, and they would take me to school because my mom had to go to work early.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, cool. Like, what is Paul doing? It was like Paul would get to the house of like the friend's house, and then from 7:30 to like 8:30 or 7:30 to 8:15 before I had to go to school, I would sit down and they just put TV on for me, and it was always MTV. It was like whatever's on MTV or TBS, honestly. I watched like Saved by the Bell in the morning.
Oh, I always watched. That was my show. Before I went to school, Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell. But it was music television when it was still it was like right on the outskirts of when it was kind of leaving. But I remember in the morning it was always music videos and that kind of stuff.
So I'll say this about MTV. I feel like they were like the evolution of edgy cable TV. Like, they were the first ones to really, like, push the envelope, right? So it's like you have, like, Rob Dyrdek, what was it, Fantasy Factory, or even, like, Room Raiders. But, like, what they were doing on MTV, Parental Control.
It was edgy for its time.
It was, like,
very
so
edgy.
different to what other cable TV shows were showing, like Saved by the Bell. And then, like, I almost feel that this could be a wild take, but I almost feel like there's like no Barstool Sports or Barstool Media without MTV like paving the way. I know it's completely different, like how it's cable,
but it's opened the doors to being allowed. Like the concept in general, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you look at some of those old shows, even like Jersey Shore, right? Like MTV really opened this door for reality TV and this more edgy content where people were just like gravitating towards. It was clickbaity. It was like, oh, this is really interesting, or oh, this is talking about a scandal
Like
or a
Real
breakup.
World and Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Like having those on cable TV where it's like these people are going out partying, getting into fights, and it's like, oh, this is the first time we're seeing like not cookie cutter, like everything's all sunshine and rainbows over here.
Yeah, you're not seeing a normal sitcom on MTV. So, like, it opened the eyes, and then I think, later down the line, it probably did lead to kind of what Barstool is today.
And most MTV, like, stars in the back in the day, like, they sort of, like, transitioned to YouTube and became good YouTubers.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when you...
Like, what's that, Silicon Valley or something? They do, like, funny skits, but I think they originated from MTV. Jesse from Nelk Boys... He was one of the original Nelk Boys. He goes by Jesse MTV. So he was.
Oh yeah.
He originally started at MTV and branched off and started becoming a YouTube superstar. So, I think they evolutionized the edgy lifestyle and making it to the public media mainstream. Next one, Paul. You want to do one more?
Yeah, we'll do one more here. What are your thoughts when you think of horoscopes? Astrology is just not the vibe. Not for me.
What's crazy and who are crazy are the people who. Like, go by the horoscopes? Is that how you say it?
The horoscope.
Yeah, the crazy people who go by the horoscopes, and that's like their Bible. It's like, oh, you're a Scorpio? I can't go on a date with you. It's like everything has to revolve around that. It's like, oh, you're Capricorn? Oh, we can't mesh. We can't be friends. Because it says here in the horoscopes. It's just like, no, it's not. It's like there's different people. It's not, but there's crazy people out there that literally oblige by the horoscopes.
Yeah, absolutely. So... Not gonna lie, I never believed it. Like, I never knew anything about it. To this day, I still don't I don't love it. But like, if people like it, I'm not gonna rain on your parade. Like, that's just not who I am. I like people who believe in what they believe in, have reasons for what they like, and if you enjoy something, enjoy it. Like, don't let anyone else tell you.
But if they're like over the top about this, it's like, oh, you're a Scorpio. It's like, no, you're a liar, a cheater. I'm like, what the fuck? Whoa. No, it's just because it says it there in the book. Like, I don't know what we're doing here.
You shouldn't be. This is definite. You shouldn't be judging people based on their sign.
And people do that.
People do. Absolutely.
A lot of them do that.
It's like, when's your birthday? Oh, I hate you.
Yeah, it's like,
let's have a
get
conversation.
Get the fuck out of my face.
How about we learn each other a little bit? You know, like, let's not judge each other like that.
But I do see where, like, I'm a Scorpio, and then I read some of the, like, adjectives.
And it's so good. It kind of makes sense.
You know what? Some of this is clicking. So maybe you shouldn't be my friend.
But I have a friend who's really into that stuff, and we've done like the whole 9 yards. It was like, what hospital were you born in? What time? What day of the week were you born on? Like a bunch of stuff, right? And then I forget what it's called. I'm gonna be so mad later. But she's like a whole book, and then you put all this stuff in, and it's like usually of year 3, it's like your rising sun, your moon. And your sign, what your main sign, right?
It all
so it's like your 3, and then there's like this book. I'm so mad I can't think of this book, but you give her all this information, and then she was reading for maybe like 5 minutes, and it's like, wow, like some of the stuff, but like 90% of the stuff pretty much clicked. So there is a little bit of me that's kind of skeptical, saying, oh, there is probably something behind it, but at the same time, it just doesn't really make sense to me. Why it would make sense?
I don't know if you saw this, but Dana White just recently found this guy. You've never seen this?
No.
He found this guy who runs a couple tests on you. Maybe you give your blood work, or I don't know exactly what his procedure is, but it's a lengthy procedure. I think it's like a couple months. And this guy will tell you how much longer you have to live. And Dana White got it done.
Oh, man.
And he said the guy called him back. It took a lot of months. It was a lengthy process. Guy called him back. He goes, hey, Dana, before I give you results, I'd like to tell them to you in person. So Dana White's like flipping out. He's like, dude, I'm going to die like tomorrow. Like, what the fuck, dude? So Dana was saying he was freaking out. And then he said the guy read him results in person. He said he had 10 years left to live. Like, that's crazy that there's like a guy out there doing this. And Dana White said that he had like credibility. Dana White's a billionaire, so obviously billionaires and millionaires have access to other things, other technology, other experiments, other people, smarter people in this world. And I I stopped the video right after he said that he had 10 years left to live, and then I think the video cut. But that is a bizarre.
How old's Dana White?
He's up there. He's like 60s. I think he might be later 50s, early 60s. I would say later 50s. He's in great shape for how old he is.
Yeah.
But to be told you're going to die in 10 years, that's crazy that there's a guy out there that does that.
That is the question. People do talk about that when they say, if you knew how you were going to die and when you were going to die, would you want to know? Or like if somebody knew, would you tell that person? And there's got to be something. It's like, no.
Oh, it's like, would you rather know when you die or how you die?
I would rather know how I die. Because I don't want to know the date. If you tell me the date, I'm going to live my... But that's the thing. You should live your life as if you were dying soon.
Life's always a party.
And it's hard because I was thinking about it today or yesterday. I was like doing something. And I'm like, do I really love doing this? Like, is this wasting my day to day?
What's this about life's a party?
No. This was something else.
I'm just kidding.
Life's a party. Life's always a party, baby. We're partying. We appreciate you listening, taking your time to listen to us.
It's true. You should just live your day like it's your last day.
Really, yeah.
So live your fucking day like it's your last day, people out there. We appreciate you.
Yeah, living life to the fullest. That's what we preach on the show. Next segment, we're going to talk about overrated or underrated. We always love doing this. If you listen to our last show.
Oh, great last show.
We're going to talk about somebody on the last show who I don't think is the best actor.
It's actually the first one.
It is the first one.
Overrated or underrated, Paul? Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I said last week that he was probably an overrated. I don't know. I stuttered last time I did this because I want to pick my words wisely. I don't think he's overrated as an actor. I think he's given gigs based off of the life he has created for himself that he probably doesn't deserve. That came off really mean.
What do you mean? I'm confused.
So I'm saying, like, if he wasn't a prominent superstar in pop culture, based on just his acting abilities, he wouldn't get the roles that he gets in the movies, cinema.
But you got to understand, a lot of that's him. A lot of it's like his production company. He's a producer on a lot of those films. Like, I think
maybe he does.
I think he was a producer on the Jungle Cruise, or probably Jumanji too. Like, he has these.
Oh, then yeah, he does
these roles where just like Kevin Hart, right? Like,
same
or thing. Lin-Manuel Miranda talks about this too, where a lot of people say, "Oh, like Lin-Manuel Miranda, he's not that good of a singer. Like, he shouldn't. He probably." Realistically shouldn't have played Alexander Hamilton on Broadway. But because he wrote it and he wrote everything and he could do the part, like, he deserved to play it. And he's came out and talked about how, like, at the end of the day, you should write for you and you should write for, like, you should promote yourself. And, like, to him, he was writing parts for Latino and, different, people of color to be in those roles. So he was writing for, like, open opportunities for himself. He's like, at the end of the day, like, if people aren't going to hire you, you gotta figure it out. So I think the same thing with Kevin Hart, and I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Kevin Hart's a good example too. He's not the greatest actor, but because he's been able to build his own empire, he can put himself in these situations. If he's
funding those things and he's producing those things, like, yeah, he's going to star in them, and he's going to try to continue his career. Like, if someone else isn't going to hire them, it's like, do it yourself. That's what we're trying to do, right? Like, if we're like, oh, we're going to try to build, a company, or we're trying to build ourselves, the same idea. I think he is super smart. I think he is still undervalued. I think he's just a very, smart person. And I think he has a lot of potential. And I think he's doing a lot. I do think with movies in general, though, he is kind of oversaturating himself. Like, he's in the market too much. Where, like, you have to limit yourself,
right? Like, pick your spots.
You got to pick your battles, see which ones you really work. Maybe you do 2 big movies a year. And then that way, when we want to go see you, it's like a party. It's like, oh, I want to go see him. It's an event.
Right.
But if you're coming out, if you're in a movie that's premiering, you're in 5 movies this year, it's like you can have too much of a good thing, right? And you're just like, he's just around. Yeah,
like
he's
Kevin
always going to be around.
He's got his own studio.
Yeah.
And the best way for Kevin Hart to get his studio recognition and make some money in the studio is for him to star in those movies. Like, he's doing Night School.
Yeah.
He's doing those movies, but it's like he's coming out with a fucking movie every other month.
Yeah.
He's always in commercials, too. Like, this guy is, like, the biggest hustler. But that's just, like, exactly what you said, like, oversaturating yourself in the entertainment. So you're not like, oh, Kevin Hart's got a new movie coming out. It's like, when does he not have a new movie coming out? Yeah. So like, if you say, oh, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he hasn't done a movie in a year or 2 years, it's like, oh, we have to see
It's more valuable to go see him then. Yep, exactly.
All right, so next one is I don't think Dwayne The Rock Johnson's overrated, by the way.
I don't think he's overrated either.
He's probably underrated.
He's got a lot of potential, man. He's doing a lot.
He's got he's got his own liquor, tequila. He's got everything. Dude. He's doing the right thing. As if he needs my cosign. Next one, Paul. Overrated, underrated wine.
Okay.
Wine. I know you think wine drunk is the best drunk out there. Do you think wine's underrated or overrated to the public?
I think people know the benefits of wine. I don't think we're idiots here. And we know that wine is delicious. I know that wine gets you...
Does wine make you more horny? Sorry.
It probably does. Yeah.
There's probably, is there actually a fact where
there's
wine
probably
makes
some
you more
pheromones
horny?
in there a little bit, right? But no, wine's a good time. And at the end of the day, I think people aren't idiots. People know that it does. They know the drunk feeling from wine. They know the... just the vibe of drinking wine in general. Like, I mean, fall's coming up, right? A winery is a good time. Winery in the falls, it's a really good time. So
when do you think kids start? Not kids. Well, I guess when do they start drinking? When do they start drinking?
12
wine?
years old.
Well, some maybe slapping a bag early. When do you think people start to drink wine, like on a consistent basis?
I think
I'm 25. I'll have wine on very rare occasions. Like like if I'm at an Italian restaurant with my family, maybe I'll get a glass of wine.
You're also a dude.
That's fair,
right?
But then like I noticed that a lot of athletes are big wine people. I don't know why that's the case.
It's healthier for you.
That's true. That's probably the case.
It's way.
I said I don't know why that's the case. Paul just answered the question.
Yeah, I mean it's a healthier drinking option than having
12 Bud Lights,
a bunch of beers. Yeah, and if you're an athlete, for sure, you want that feeling, but you want something that tastes good. You're out with your family. You're out with teammates. You're out with your coach, whatever, right? That kind of thing.
Because so NBA players, they're like big, like Dwayne Wade, LeBron's on wine.
I think it's also a flex. Like wine is expensive, so if you're rich and you have money. Being able to afford that wine,
it's like a Rolex,
is a thing that is has value to it in a public setting.
Yeah, it's like we talk about Kevin Hart. He has Heart to Heart, which is like an interview podcast, and he has it in his house in his wine cellar.
Nice.
So like to start the interview, he'll bring out like an actual, I don't know what that guy's called, the guy carrying the bottle of wine, and he'll be interviewing Jay-Z, and he'll be like, and he'll explain the wine. Like you said, it's a big fucking flex. Like, oh, this wine's from XYZ. It's I don't know, it's from here. It's been established since blah blah blah.
It's 100 years old.
Yeah,
like that kind of stuff is valuable to
it's
people
a flex,
who can afford it. Yeah.
I never thought about it like that. It is basically like a fucking Rolex. Like, what's your Rolex collection? What's your wine?
What's your wine collection? Yeah, for sure.
All right, next one. You pick, Paul.
Overrated or underrated? Valentine's Day.
I think Valentine's Day is very overrated.
Okay.
It makes me think Valentine's Day was developed for guys or girls in their relationship who kind of put their relationship on the other 364 days on the back burner. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, it's Valentine's Day. Now I forgot I got to show my woman some appreciation. This day is reminding me I should probably get her flowers, some candy, and let's go do dinner. But it's like a reminder for the guys who don't do that on a consistent basis. So therefore, it's very overrated because you should be doing that on a consistent basis for your significant other.
Yeah, Valentine's Day is a holiday that has been made up by corporations ready to sell you on food and flowers and cards. And if you know me, I'm not a fan of cards.
Cards are so expensive.
I think they're super expensive now. I'd rather write you one. You know, if you like that kind of thing.
Pauly Shakespeare.
Yeah, you got write a little poem for the lady.
Deliver it with a dove.
Yeah, they're just so expensive.
Feather pen.
It's so funny because I've told people this. Like I told my mom, and she like rolls her eyes, and she's like, "But what if I like cards? You wouldn't give me a card?" I was like, "Dude, they're like $15." And
no one looks at the card. Like it's like. That whole joke where it's like the guy opens the card for his birthday and
the money falls out.
It's
like, oh, thank you, grandmother and grandpa. And the money, there's like $100 on the floor. Like, I mean, it all depends, but it's definitely made up by corporations. I think agreed that if you really like someone, you should value them all year round, right? Get your girlfriend flowers. Get your boyfriend a nice bottle of tequila.
Rosé.
Or, either one.
Let's do this, Paul. We're about positivity, living life like you're dying. No, living life like you're gonna die tomorrow. Living life like you're not afraid
living
to
life
die.
to the fullest.
We'll just go with that. Living life
there you go.
Living life to the fullest. So let's do this, Paul. If you're listening to Life's a Party maybe you go out today, get some flowers for your significant other, and maybe you get some flowers for your mother.
Yes.
Do something nice for somebody. Maybe next card, maybe it's someone's birthday. Make that card yourself. Write that card. So as a message from Life's a Party, go do that today.
I like that.
Go make someone's day.
We're spreading the positivity and the love out here.
All right, let's do 2 more, Paul. Let's go with disposable cameras and Polaroids. Are they overrated or underrated?
Completely underrated.
You think they're underrated?
Dude, disposable cameras.
Talk about something expensive. That whole process is a lengthy process.
Yeah.
It's expensive. It's tedious.
I did a project recently where I had 2 disposable cameras, and it was for an event, and we got the disposable cameras. We took a bunch of photos, and then we got them. I took them to Walgreens, and it took 2 weeks to get the photos back. That was like annoying, but that's also part of the process where people think it's valuable. It's like, oh, I got to wait 2 weeks for these photos. And that's why the app Dispo, a lot of people really like Dispo because it kind of has that same feeling as a disposable where you take the photo and then you can't see it for about a day. Yeah. And it allows you to be a little bit more in the moment, which I really value and I think is great. And Polaroids in general, I have a Polaroid camera I got for Christmas a couple years ago. I've used it for a bunch of things. I've done it for landscapes, like an architecture. I've done it at like a party where it's like a friend's birthday party and we take a bunch with friends. I really like that.
People take disposables to like concerts now. Like you'll see them.
Oh, it's awesome.
Or like professional players. I forget who just recently did it. They're like an NFL player and they went out for like pregame warm-ups. Or maybe they were traveling on the plane to the game and they were taking pictures of their teammates on the plane with a disposable camera and then they posted it later.
Well, I mean, I don't know how big a fan you are, but like Logan Paul.
I know Logan. Oh, yeah.
Have you seen 99 Originals?
They're amazing. Like even not just the pictures, but like the process of it. I got stuck into like a rabbit hole on his TikTok. And it's like such a dope idea.
So I went to his YouTube. I watched the whole thing. It was about like 45 minutes. But Logan Paul, obviously, if you don't know him, he's a YouTuber. He's been around, influencer for a long time. And he did this project called 99 Originals. And he had like 100 days or whatever, and he was doing one a day. And he was basically creating, and it was an NFT project. So he was like creating Polaroid pictures, and then eventually he had 99 of them, and he would eventually sell them. So he was like selling them as an NFT, and each one went for anywhere from like 25 grand to like 100 grand. Like it was insane. So, but it was really cool, his process to be able to see how he came up with these pictures. Like he was traveling the globe. He's like, I've broken like 50 cameras. He was using different Polaroid.
He was in space. The one in space.
Well, he did the one, it was like zero gravity.
Oh yeah, that's not space.
No, he was on like a plane where he said he did this thing where it was like basically like zero gravity where, the plane went up and then it went down. But at the top of the hill, like the parabola, it was basically zero gravity for like a couple minutes. So during his whole process, it was towards the end, he was taking like hundreds and thousands of Polaroids each day. He was like taking all these photos. So he said by the end of this, he had like all these Polaroids. So one of his photos, his eventual Polaroids, was him floating in his other photos, which was just insane. So if you definitely check this out, like he got really, really creative. He traveled across the world.
There was one with the model that was naked and then had like the rainbow reflection. They tried a million times and they wanted to get a certain rainbow like pattern with color scheme, and they tried again and again. They couldn't get the right pattern because they had like 2 colors like next to each other at the same time, the same color. They didn't like that. I watched like 3 or 4 of them, and it's like such a fascinating project. Yeah. He finished it, and now it's on YouTube.
He finished it. There's a video on YouTube from his page. It's like 45 minutes. He talks about the process of most of them.
I'll have to check that out. I've seen a couple.
And then how much they were sold for, and he says how much they were sold for, which is insane. But yeah, Ryan was talking about light painting. So like if you ever mess with a camera, you can mess with the exposure, and then based on how dark a light is, you can like drag lights across the photo and like paint in light if the camera's on like a setting. So the camera might be taking a photo once a minute or whatever. So the exposure just basically like holds it. So if you like paint something in the air, after a minute, maybe you did like a heart, or you drew like a guy's on TikTok and he does a bunch of them. He'll draw like Winnie the Pooh and shit. Like it's crazy.
Wow.
And after a minute, like you'll pull back from the camera and then it'll be a light painting of Winnie the Pooh. So he was experimenting with that with Polaroids. He was talking about how he was doing different film where he would have colored film. like if you ever take a Polaroid, it might be black or white, but he was doing like red frames or blue frames, and then they were random orders. So he was like, oh, I really want a red frame. So he would take the picture, and then it might be off a little bit, and he's like, fuck. And he's like, he would take so many pictures, and that was a really cool project that for me as a film person, someone who liked photography, was really into. And he took this idea of like this old school vintage Polaroid, where it's like, dude, there's so much value in that stuff, and I still think it's underrated. Like, everything you could do with an old camera, the vintage stuff obviously is coming back into play.
It really is, the vintage stuff. I saw something today, one of your sister's friends, she ordered or got a gift of the old phone, where it's like you would like, and you pick it up, but then how you dial the numbers is the wheel, and then you go to 2, and then you gotta wait for it to come back around. Then you go to 5, then you wait for it to spin all the way back around, and then that's how
you got that as
people.
a gift.
I guess she got that as a gift or bought it, and it says like call someone you love. So I guess you just set it up in your house. Hey, it's positive vibes today. Calling people you love, getting them flowers, writing them cards, and then I guess you just sit there and it's like, oh, I want to use this phone. Let me call like my mom or something. Let me call my sister that lives in South Carolina. Let me just talk to her, and it's like a vintage piece, but still has some feelings around it. So it's dope. And I love Polaroids too. Like some of my favorite pictures of me. I mean, not to be selfish, but like, or like me partying, and then like there's like a vintage Polaroid picture. It's like my favorite, like black or white.
We did this last Christmas. We did Christmas photos with Polaroids,
sick.
And it was like my family. We had our dog. Like that stuff's cool. You know what I mean?
All right, last one. White Claws, Paul. Overrated or underrated? There's no laws when you're drinking the claws.
I think they're
overrated.
I think they're overrated.
I think that High Noons have officially taken over seltzers.
They're the original. White Claw's the original.
It made them, so they'll always be there.
It made them popular, but I feel like there's so much competition now that they're kind of getting pushed out.
High Noons are just so much better. Like, don't you agree?
High Noons taste really good.
High Noons do taste good. We're not sponsored by High Noons.
We should be, but that's not. That's not us.
But yeah, I think White Claws are probably overrated. I think the problem is that High Noons are more expensive, so the college kids are still drinking the White Claws.
Yeah, High Noons are expensive.
And
that's the problem.
White Claws come in, I believe they come in 12 and 24. High Noons are just testing now, I think, like 12 packs. 8 packs, I think, is the max they do. So if you're having a day you're a college kid, I guess White Claws are still the way to go. But I'm a Team High Noons. Dope show. We appreciate and love you guys.
Absolutely. Hope you're having a party. Hope you're calling everyone you love, positive vibes. Live every day like it's your last. If you're not following us already on socials, at Life's a Party Pod over on Instagram, TikTok. Check out our YouTube if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We love, the visual version. I'm trying to get our subs over on YouTube. But as always, we love, appreciate you. That's been it. As always.
Music. Take us out. Peace, baby. Later.